This episode and every episode is brought to you by Mass Monopoly. We're an adventure sports agency focused on fueling the brands that fuel us. Everyone here is an adventure athlete of some sort and loves some or all the sports that we support. We help build adventure brands through authentic, value-based marketing. We help you grow your business without selling your soul. Go to massmonopoly.com for a free consultation. We're also brought to you by 508 Adventure Sports. 508 is a family-run business who want to keep adventure sports affordable for families. They sell handcrafted hard goods manufactured in their New England shop, like their new line of handmade skateboards, and they also source affordable quality accessories for the sports they love, like mountain biking gloves, skateboarding pads, helmets, hiking gear, and all kinds of stuff to keep you and your family out on adventures without breaking the bank. Check them out at 508.com, F-I-V-E, the letter O, the number 8.com. My co-host, Mickey Cormier, one of my most favoritist people, joins me today to discuss whether or not you can or should digitize events. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get off to the races. And just like that, we're podcasting.
That's kind of awesome.
Kind of awesome. So I thought what would be interesting to talk about is events, live events, and can you digitize them? Is there something you can do to extend the efforts? And I guess the reason I thought of it, at least, why might help us have a conversation. I was at NEMBA recently, as you know, a mountain biking festival in Vermont. And I was just thinking about ways that all the different vendors there and at every other, festival or business conference or anything I've been to, is there a way to digitize the experience to try and enhance or further your relationship with the folks that you're talking to, live and in person at the events? And I don't know if there's a right answer or if we'll figure one out, but I thought it would be an interesting just topic to unpack.
Yeah, I mean that opens up a whole bunch of things. I have questions like, do you mean before? Do you mean during? Or do you mean after? Or is it all of those things? Because
yes.
Right? Because there's, Facebook, Twitter, actually, because Facebook's already been doing Facebook Live for quite some time. Twitter actually has also the capability to publish live events in a sort of a streaming way. And, it's been doing that since the, 2016, I think that was its first real implementation. So there are lots of venue or social media outlets that natively will allow you to do streaming video. So there is that. And so what would you do with that, right?
Is that the right answer? And maybe it's one answer. I was thinking along those lines too, with Facebook Live, where in the instance of where I was at NEMBA, somebody could easily schedule a time, right, when they're going to do a Facebook Live to include people who can't be at the event. And you could put your phone into a chest harness or something and go live. And then you could go on a demo ride with a group of people and you could have somebody watching that. That's kind of fun, little gimmicky and kind of cool and includes people. But I don't think it does. I don't know that it does anything for the user or for the brand, except probably garner some likes and some views. So I don't know. How do you see live or whatever Twitter's is called? How do you see that folding in at a live event?
Well, I mean, it pretty much behaves in a similar way. There's obviously video involved. I believe the example that I witnessed happened around. I think it was during the election, and there was a debate. And so what was going on, right, was that you were listening live now into this debate scenario. And at the same time, all these Twitter folks are with you in in a space, obviously, this nebulous space, and they're conversing. So their side conversations are happening that aren't part of the live event, but they're live happening. So there's a monitor involved, and there are, the other thing that I watched in a similar way was soccer. Those, you get a bunch of fans that are watching the same soccer game you know, at an event. They can't obviously be there across the world. And you have like thousands of people joined in on this giant Twitter roll, chatting away or, making comments and sharing thoughts and ideas, that in a similar way you could do that with Facebook. And there's this sort of Facebook's actually pretty hot. A lot of people do a lot of different kinds of small, like homey events. Um, there are various ways to do that. I feel like that it's actually advantageous. You sort of bring the person into your experience if they can't be there. If I'm in California, but I'm interested in NEMBA, it would be cool to be part of some of that NEMBA experience, by having this sort of live event. And I think you're right. I think you'd need to schedule it. It would need to be a little more organized. It couldn't be just, oh, here's like a panorama of like the place, and let's look at some people riding by. It would have to be.
Yippee.
You're right. It'd have to be something that would be way more organized and something that was that. And I think that's the point, right? It was so that you could tailor some sort of a reaction or a response, some sort of action. So I think what you start out with, right, is figuring out what is the reaction or the action that I want to generate from showing this or doing this or having this? What is the point of it? And once you answer that, then, what you create to make that solution happen is the solution, So
Right.
if you're like, you're at NEMBA and you're a bike company and you want more people to be your fans, maybe that's sort of a shallow ask. Maybe you want more people to start riding and think of you when they're riding. That's something you could do. You could then take them for a ride. You could give them a behind the scenes of somebody talking about the bike, somebody building the bike. They could answer live questions about the bike from people that are actually either engaged in Facebook or Twitter in that sort of live. So the whole point of the live thing is it's not just broadcasting out, right? It's having that communication, that sort of conversation, even if it's digital, between those two parties, the person who might want to buy a bike and the person who's got the bike.
Yeah, I think there's some interest there, and it's certainly a thing you can do to get some eyes that aren't going to be at whatever event it is by doing something live, and especially if you plan it well and schedule it, I think it could be interesting. But I think more what I'm wondering, or at least where I started with the question, so we should probably look at both. But with the people at an event, so if I'm a vendor or a company at an event, and just going back to Number Fest, if I'm a mountain bike manufacturer and people are there checking out the bikes, they're riding my bikes and a bunch of other brands' bikes, how do I continue the conversation with that person that now has ridden my product? Because that's ultimately one of the biggest deciding factors in what you're going to buy. That's why people want a demo, right? They want to ride it, they want to feel it, they want to see if it's right for them. And they're probably in the market for a bike, or at least they will be in the not too distant future if they're there demoing bikes. At least there's pretty good odds. So I'm wondering, a lot of the companies collected, your email address on an iPad while you're signing up to ride the bike. And then they're going to send you an email. Although with GDPR coming on, eventually they're not going to be able to send you an email, or it'll be more difficult to do so. So what else? What kind of a what's in it for them for the user could you do? What is some kind of a something
Okay.
in order to keep a relationship going, to keep a one-on-one conversation or a relationship moving forward from that event? And I do not have an idea, but something more along the lines of, the week after Nemba Fest, or insert whatever it is here, any demo or festival or conference, after the fact, how do we keep going? How do I keep that excitement, or the great one-on-one human conversation that I had at an event with you? How do I further that?
I don't know, but I was just reading an article about using texting sending text messages
Yeah.
versus conventional email. The reason why I'm thinking about that is there's something immediate about getting, and I get text alerts now, more, for instance, I sign up for track this darn package because I want to know when it's coming, when it left, blah, blah, blah. And I'm getting those alerts sent to my phone. I don't get them email anymore because the phone is going to, push that notification right into the window and I get to see it immediately. And then I can choose to interact with it or not interact with it, as opposed to, for some reason, it seems like a little, just another like step removed if I've got to engage in an email, which is something I do when I'm sitting down at my, at home with the laptop later. But if I'm out and about and I'm moving around, yeah, I'm totally checking those texts.
Yeah.
Texts are something I do all the time. I mean, what if you could use texting as a way to sort of trigger, an action, and maybe you send them a coupon via the text that then takes them, I don't know, links them to their local shop or the website for more information. Or I don't know, what does it do? Does it sign you up? Does it do something different? Does it take you to something mobile interesting? I don't know.
Yeah, or do you make it more micro than macro? So maybe instead of sending out a coupon, I mean maybe you get there, right? But maybe that's not the first thing they receive from you. Maybe they receive a text. Hey, it was great to meet you at Nembafest. I'm glad you got a chance
Yeah,
to ride the bike. What did you think? And
yeah.
it's really personal because it's a text. People are generally texting with their friends, so you could send that out, and technically you could send it out to a bunch of people. It can be individual. It can be a one-on-one feeling, but you could technically do it through some sort of marketing software where you wouldn't have to text, the 400 people at every event that rode the bike, but you could then respond and personally to the ones that do respond back, and you could have a conversation moving forward. That's probably that's probably worth the effort more than chasing an email chain or trying to get people to engage on social that weren't engaged, because you've got someone that literally spent time with you and your product, and now you're engaged in a one-on-one conversation. If I'm thinking about me, that would that would impress me. That would draw me further in. But
I mean, yeah.
or would it creep you out? Is that too big brother? Like, hey,
No, because here's the thing, because you're actually signing up for this. If you are totally honest and transparent about, you're gonna to have them opt in, as long as
yeah,
it's an
yeah,
opt in scenario, then there is nothing creepy about it. And in fact, the more personal and relaxed, the less selly, in other words, the text is. So let's just say, like, the text comes through to you, Adam, and they're like, wow, Adam, you know Adams, your name. This is Josh from Nembafest. It was great to meet you. I hope, I heard you really like the bike. Let me know if there are any questions you have about riding, or, in general, not even about my bike. That's what I'm saying. Something that's more like, yeah, here's, like, I got this cool tip I can share with you about blah, 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 and then send them to a blog or something, or send them to a video, even better, in my opinion, so they don't have to read. Or a podcast, even better. Something they can listen to while they're in motion. I mean, something that doesn't interrupt, right?
yeah.
What they're doing as an activity, but is still engaging them with you. I mean, you could send out that first, that first little line out. Could be done by chatbots. You don't have to even like be engaged, but maybe what you do is you set it up so that when the chatbot gets a response, that, chatbot then turns it over to a human, or there's another like little chat line that it goes through, so that by the time that person's ready to actually talk to a human, that event happens, and it's has value,
Yeah, I think for sure that, and I think the chatbot thing is going to become big when they get it right. It's still wonky, and it's a bot, so it's better not to hide that it's a bot. But I think I
True.
think I think you're right. What I'd like it to do is be seamless, so you don't need to know it's a bot, but it would have to be fast and it would have to be handed off immediately, right? So you could have a bot or a piece of software, not a bot, essentially send out that text to the 400 people. It could just be that first line of it was awesome meeting you at whatever at NembaFest, and do you have any questions? I was glad to see you got to ride our bike. And then when it comes back, the answer has to come back, within a few hours from the person having an actual conversation. Because the bots thing, AI is going to be a big thing and it's going to enhance business, but it's not there yet. Like, we have one on our website, because it's good to explore the technology, but it's no good. There's no way you don't know it's a bot, and we don't try to hide that it's a bot, but it's a bot experience. And by the time you're, one exchange into a bot experience, you're out of the experience, right? Because you're not talking to somebody anyway, unless you're waiting in like a support queue, which, then you're miserable anyway.
True that. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that the bot technology is far from being something that is actually useful right now, although it is quickly becoming much smarter. As time goes on, that technology is actually like it's on fire, taking off. So soon that'll be a thing. But you're right. Right now, I think you're right. I think maybe you're right. Maybe it's handled with some script. And the person engaged maybe gets maybe you send out like a tiny little 2-question or 3-question survey even to sort of did you like attending NEMBA? Did you like the bike? Did you,
Nemba Fest.
NEMBA Fest? Did you like the bike? Sorry,
No,
NEMBA
it's okay.
Fest.
Just NEMBA is an organization. NEMBA Fest is a festival, so I don't want to confuse anybody.
Right on. Yeah, we don't want any confusing conversations. Just you and
Well,
me.
no,
We
no,
don't. Yeah.
no promises.
So maybe there's some cool questions. Maybe you can get some information about how that person was feeling about the whole thing anyway before you even start down that path. You want to talk some more? Hit me up. You have any questions? Chat me back. And as soon as that person starts to engage, well, then you thought a real person probably needs to get involved in some way and respond to that person. Be a real person to that person.
Yeah, I
That
think I would
I,
steer clear. For me, I would steer clear of the survey or anything until later. I would I would want to do like a one-liner, like a text you might get from one of your friends that, is just a personal, "Hey, hope you had fun. It was great to meet you." If they then respond, then whoever they got the text from, whether it's a sales rep they met at the event or someone's in charge of that relationship, that person should answer back as a human with a response to whatever that person gave you back. You're not going to hear back if you text out 400 people that you met over the weekend and you hear back from 100. That would be a huge response rate. That would be great. And then you should take the time to follow up person to person with those 100 people, because those are 100 leads that have intent, that just experienced your product and met you in person. It doesn't get a lot better than that. I
oh,
would I would kill for that.
you know what? You're absolutely right. That is so true. That is a great idea. Okay, so there's texting. So I think that's kind of an interesting
I do too. I
thing
think
that can
that
happen.
Yeah, I think we have to explore that. I think that because people like texting and, digitizing things and having a discussion like this, I love getting into real practical and things people will respond to, like a text. We don't have to reinvent the world. It doesn't have to be some new VR technology that's going to digitize the event. I just want a way to further my talk with you. And that's what I'm looking at is how do we leave the festival, leave the conference center, leave wherever we met, and continue a personal conversation, right? Because traditionally you go back to your desk, you've got 400 cards. If you're a regular business, you've got 400 cards of people you shook hands with, barely engaged with, and now you're trying to send an email and everyone's disengaged. I think at an event around, luckily, the stuff that we're involved in, where it's more passion based, right? If you're at a snowboarding expo or a mountain bike festival, if you're at these things, it's because you like the sport or love the sport and you're interested. So you already have pretty good conversations. But I think that you have to continue them as a human. And one really good way is that the texting. So I like that. I like that it doesn't have to be revolutionary. We're not changing the world. We're just having conversations with people, and we're extending those conversations. We're doing it beyond when we met, because most of them, unfortunately, die on the vine, right? They die with that conversation that you had in person.
That's true. So taking it that extra step, it's funny what you're talking about is using digital basically to go to do something and go back to a very basic human thing, communicate. Just straight up talk to the person. Like
Definitely.
that one-on-one thing, that relationship, that's paramount. That's the thing. That is the golden nugget right there. And if you can nurture that golden nugget, you're right. That's it. It'll just lay eggs forever.
That's a good
That's
way
an
to put it.
awesome.
That's a good way to put it, because what I was trying to get at, failing, was that to digitize it, I don't mean automate it. I don't mean to make it somehow become zeros and ones. I just want to find a way to maybe leverage some tools, but more extend things. And that's a great way to put it. You want to continue to be as basic as possible, because people respond to human interaction. In fact, I think it goes so far, even more than it used to, because people lack human interaction for a lot of part in
Yes.
our lives. Everything's become so digitized and digital in one way, and or even if it's not one way, it's one step at a time. It's people engaging in conversations, or more likely arguments, on social media, and it's become a very disengaged, even if you're engaged in a conversation thing. And what I think always works better is to bring it back to the people, to the who am I talking to, and then you can use text messaging to make it a one-to-one conversation. And even if you multiply that times 1,000, that's great. You're getting a lot of leads if that's your problem.
Well, I love this idea. I think we should start implementing this straight away.
Done.
No,
I
okay.
agree.
One answer down. Okay, so texting's a great way to go. I think it's you know what else that texting does over like phone calls and email. It is light. It's a lightweight engagement on the engager and the engagee. There's
Hmm.
no heavy, pressury feelings. A text to a person or from a person that you've already met is it's like a no-brainer to answer that. It's like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, man, thanks so much, that was really cool. I'm cool now, chat with you later, whatever your answer is that you get back. You got an answer. I almost guarantee you send out a text like that, you're right, you're probably gonna get, I bet you get like a third to half of those folks actually saying, hey, thanks so much. Like, thank you, because that was fun, because these are people that really enjoy the sport, and they're there for a purpose. They were there to test out your stuff, to be part of a community,
Hmm.
right? And texting is fortifying that human connection, that human behavior. These people want to be part of a group, of of a clan. It's like belonging to something. And if it feels like you've got an inside to the people that create the stuff that you love, that's huge. It's like fandom,
Hmm.
That's like instant fandom. I know if there's a guy, his name's Ross. He works at Cinnamon Rainbows up in New Hampshire, and he was such an awesome, personable fellow that when I went back, and like he showed me like, oh, here's this surfboard. Why don't you try and demo this surfboard? And then when I went back home and I had a question and I emailed him, bam, he was instantaneously texting me,
Yeah. Yeah.
thoughts and ideas about me and my surfing. Not selling me anything, but talking about how I like to surf, what I like to surf, where do I like to surf, like things that I personally would have been, that made sense. It was like talking to a person, like a person who cared about making your experience better. And
Right. It
that,
extended the actual
yeah,
conversation you had
yeah.
with that person.
That was I totally, I bought from that guy because that guy was so fantastic. It was like $1,000 worth of surfboard,
Hmm.
after all said and done, all the tail pads and the fins and all that other stuff. That was a pretty good sale for that. Obviously he probably does a couple $1,000 every week, I would imagine, considering the volume they carry and the, you know, and where they are right in front of the beach like that. But for me, that was an extremely personal kind of thing. And I still, chat with that guy, and he still is like, hey, how's it going? Hope things are great. Let me know how it's going. Let me know if you need anything, and not in any aggressive way, but a very cool way. And he will always be my first go-to now if I
Well,
have
yeah.
a
I
question
mean,
about something.
It clearly made an impact on you. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I think so. Texting is totally the way to go.
Another thing I
Well,
was thinking about, if we're talking about events
yeah.
like a NembaFest where there are demos, I was thinking about you could have cameras on the ready because GoPros are really cheap, right? So you could have a GoPro already pre-mounted on all of your demo bikes. So when you sign the person in, you
Oh
get
my
their
god.
you get their phone number, their email, and you log their timestamp on when they rode the bike. So then after the event, I think it'd be really cool to send them video of their ride, like you're sending them doing their riding. So when you're really jazzed up about something and you're at an event and you're all excited and your adrenaline's running, you're in the moment, and then it can wane 2-3 weeks later, right? But then you get this video that reminds you of it because it's not a video of someone else riding; it's your ride. It's what you did on their bike, and you basically just send it as a gift, like, "Hey, thought you'd want this to remember your ride. Hope we see you again at the next event," or do you have any questions? It's a give, so it would take some effort, but I think that you're essentially giving that person a memory. You're giving them something of value that is free to them. They're a winner.
Oh my god, that is genius, dude. That is genius. That is why isn't everybody already doing that? That is a freaking excellent idea. You know what? There are folks at carnivals and other kinds of events that take pictures that aren't even half as engaging as this concept of doing a video, because video is like a million pictures. It's
Yeah,
worth a
you can feel it.
million more pictures. It's totally an emotive thing. I mean, it's the number one most convincing thing that the web can deliver you is an awesome visual motion thing, and video is one of those things. It's like bar none the best thing. So delivering video, and you know what, you could tie that into like like a cool video GoPro wall of like all like yeah, and share your once you send it to them, and then like hook it up with like yeah, I hope you really liked your experience. If you want to, you can share this experience up on our cool video wall page or
That's
whatever.
an awesome idea. Or don't even have them share it. What you do is you send them theirs and tell them that it's
Yes,
also it's also published back here in this little community wall you've created of all the people that got to experience the event or rode together. And then you can start conversations there,
yep,
even between the different users talking about the products and what they rode and how it was. That's really
right.
cool. That's a
My trend,
that's fun.
totally. That's fun. My transition, and you'd have like an instant community online, a place to have a chat about not only the people maybe you didn't meet that also were at the same festival, but all these other people that maybe at other, because I know, right, like transition as an example, right? We'll go to Vermont, then we'll go down to where it is in West Virginia, someplace
Hmm.
down in West Virginia, wherever else they go. They've got like a couple of hot spots around the country that they're going to hit. You're going to then get a huge amount of video community humans that are stoked about this and will go there and interact with that space. 100%, mostly because they're on that space. Like it's their cool like you cut it like a cool video. You can even make it interactive for them and give them like 5 like little tracks, to
Not
add like
and not
hot
only
sauce music. You know what I mean?
not only does it give
Maybe
that person that little gift, but it's content. That's content that you can then use for search relevance for other people finding you. That's going to get people talking. That's going to be something that's going to be valuable beyond just a one-to-one relationship. That's going to help show that you foster one-to-one relationships and grow them on a larger scale.
holy crap, I love this idea.
Me
We should
too.
sell this idea.
I
That is a
like this
great
idea
idea.
too.
Write this down.
I
Oh, it's a
know.
good thing we're recording.
Because I know, right? I like this brainstorming on a podcast.
I know. Here we are sitting up, making up ideas.
But you can
What
you
else
could
could?
you could literally like flip the camera around, tell the person have fun at your ride, go get it. Flip the camera back around. They go do their ride. When they get back, you flip it around again to their face and say how was it? You get them in that moment of just coming off a great ride or whatever. You get them having that fun moment, and that's real. So it's not like it's a marketing thing per se, but you're just capturing that happiness in real time. so that they can not only relive it when you give them that video that you just took for them, but when you do post that video wall or bring that out to others, they can then see. I mean, that's just basically user generated content showing people having a great time. They don't have to try and sell the bike. They don't have to, as long as you provided a good bike and a good product, they're going to have a blast on it. And that's going to show through in that real, legit, organic content.
Oh my God, that is fantastic. I love this idea. There's so much you could do with this. And you're right. You get like that afterglow, you know. And in a surfer world, that would be like surf glow when you come off and you're done surfing and you have a smile on your face, and it's a particular kind of smile that just is there. That you're not even realizing you're smiling because you're just you've had such an amazing time that you're glowing, and everyone knows when they look at you that you've had a great surf because of that surf face.
Yeah, I think that goes for all the sports, and it would work with surfing. I'm sure they do demos with surfing. I mean, I went to a wakeboarding festival this weekend with the kids, and they had wakeboarding demos, jet ski demos, and whatever those jet boots are that that you fly up out of the water on I don't know, shoots of water. They had all that stuff, and I think if you had video, it would apply to that too. It would apply, and GoPros, they're waterproof, they're bomb proof. You just put them on anything, and they're cheap enough. I think that it applies to all those sports. You can get that face of the surfer, which I think everyone has that face. You come down off any great run or anything from any sport you love. You've got that shitty grin where you're just in a happy face.
No, you're absolutely right. Capturing that and sharing that is fantastic. That's a fantastic idea, dude. That is great. Okay, so there's two great ideas right there. And so the event now just became so much more fun to go to. Now I want to go just to get my GoPro on. What else can you do? Do they have drones at these things, by the way? I'm just curious. I don't know if it has anything to do with what we're talking about, but I was just thinking about how cool would it be to have a drone fly over, come up out of a tent or a crowd and give you the expanse of humans riding around. Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
I think so. And they did have one there, and I'm sure there'll be cool shots to come out after. I think drones are going to be awesome, and like that one that we bought on Kickstarter that never came to life, where they're supposed to be at this level so far, but they're not. Where they can follow you around, instead of a GoPro, if you could send a drone to follow this person on their ride, that would be next level video where they could see themselves. So it wouldn't just be reliving the ride through their own eyes; they'd be seeing themselves ride. That would be next level and awesome. But I don't think I don't think there's no drones that are there yet that you could literally throw a watch on the person's wrist, a bracelet that talks to the drone, and just send them off safely, and the drone's going to come back. And I think that still to this day, there's still a creepo factor with drones, as cool as they are, because when the drone would go up at Nembafest, you'd hear the thing, up in the air above the campground where everybody was, and everyone would start talking about it like, oh, geez, they're spying on us again. I mean, it always had a negative connotation to the drone taking air. I think people love drone footage, but they don't want to be in it. Yeah.
Well, they don't like the idea of what else it might entail. I think either the generations have to get past it and it becomes video, like today's digital access, which is boundless, really. And people just don't think about it. We'll have to get through a couple of generations for that to happen, where people are just like, oh yeah, drones, they're just one of those things that we have now.
Yeah, I think it's not just a Big Brother, and we might get to it's just one of those things we have now, because right now, with the way things exist, you still have the majority of the people thinking, well, where's this going to end up? What are they filming? How's it going to be used? And eventually, if we keep going on their current path, you're right. People will just be like, whatever. Because,
right, yeah.
Now there's in every city and town, at every stoplight, every corner, you're on camera. And that didn't used to be the way. And there was a time when people would have said, never, that's not right? America. We have rights. But then it just that quietly happened, and now everyone's like, well, just that's the way it is. I get a ticket in the mail because I blew a stop sign, and they had me on camera.
Exactly. And now it's become like a common everyday place, and you don't even think about like, oh, I just blew past another camera. Oh, there's a camera in. You don't even count how many cameras there are actually on you at any given time. You think about it, those people have like every 2 blocks they can be following you if they wanted to be
You know who's
following you
counting?
through.
The robot overlords. They're the ones watching through those cameras.
Oh my god, dude, no. Well, anyway, I mean, it can, whatever. I mean, we could get all freaky about it, but like, but it is a thing. It's a thing now, and I don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, you can't. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not going to stay in your house. The
Right?
cameras are
Exactly.
there. You can't just hang out. So, yeah, I think the drones would be awesome, but I don't see a scenario where you could implement that yet. I just don't.
Mm.
I don't think the technology is quite there, and I don't think people. Well, I don't think you'd have the trust issue where it's not flying over a campground and it's people that haven't invited it. Like if you could get to that level where you throw a wristband on and the drone talks to the wristband and can just follow you for half an hour, I think people would love that. I just don't think we're there quite yet with the technology, at least not that I've seen.
Yeah, I just feel like that would fail more often than not, which would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
an aggravating experience for sure.
definitely. And I think that it would end in a lot of aggravating technology experiences. It would end in your drone crashing into people and possible, trouble there. But most likely, I think more than anything, the one we were supposed to have by now was going to have obstacle avoidance and follow the user and all that kind of
Oh
great stuff.
yeah.
And
Wow,
that is all
fucking.
great. And I think they're getting there, but I don't think anyone's there yet. So I think if you sent a drone out right now, every couple hours or every hour with someone on a demo bike or on a snowboard demo or a surfing demo, I think 9 times out of 10, your drone's going to hit a tree and be broken or crash into the water and be broken or, fly into, it's just, I don't think it's there yet as much as I really wish it was because then we'd already have our drone and be doing this.
Right. Oh, so anyway, back to the so all right, so maybe back to the GoPro then. So drones, I'm gonna package that up and we'll talk about that when technology is caught up to our
Next year.
crazy ideas. Yeah. So take it a step further. Maybe you've captured now this video that they've basically taken themselves with with the GoPro strapped to the bike, and then you do like that one step. I'll just take one step further and like cut it up for them so it's hot sauce. Maybe you just need like, you need somebody that knows what they're doing a little bit to go in there, take the footage, cut off all the little, boring bits and like slam it into something cool. Just a quick cool.
I don't even think you need to edit it because you don't
You
need
don't
it to
think
be
so?
pretty. You don't need it to be pretty. It's theirs. It's one of a kind. It's their experience. And like, I think, maybe I'm wrong and I'm definitely open to you arguing me out of it, but I think you have somebody go in, pull all the footage out of the GoPro, cut each video into its own piece, upload it to YouTube with the person's name on your company's YouTube page and share it out with them. So they can come back and watch it. They have it on YouTube. That's generating you the wall that you can share out to all the other social places and your website. And it's generating the content, right? And if somebody gets a 1 hour or a 2 hour video of a ride, they're not going to watch the whole thing anyway. They're gonna skip with the time bar to parts they remember from the ride that were the most interesting. I mean, no one's going to sit there and watch the whole thing. So I don't think you need to take the effort to edit it. You just have to give it to them. I think it's that personal connection to the experience in the video that would resonate with people more than getting a polished video. And I think the more you try to polish it or edit it, the more it's just going to become impossible to do. It'd become way too labor intensive to
Yeah. All
turn
right.
it
Fair
around.
enough. Fair
'Cause
enough. Fair enough.
editing video, you go down a rabbit hole.
Mm, it's true. Oh yeah, you're making a very good point. Okay. All right. So let me trash that idea. Well, I was just thinking that it would be kind of neat, to have like, all right, so you shared all these videos. Do you really want all these videos though on a wall in the form that they're in? Maybe. Oh, what if you could? What if you could like have them pick like, pick the best 10 seconds of this video and share it back to us, and then make a big long cool video from that video. Maybe it's like 3 seconds. Give us your best 3 seconds and be part of like this movie. And like you could create like this really cool flying down the mountain or up the mountain or whatever little movie with music and shit. I think that would be kind of fun.
That would be
Like
really
at the,
that would be really
you know,
fun.
And
I
it'd be
think
like,
you could also take together all those minutes, or you could stitch together, let's say you had 100 videos, you could stitch together one 20-minute ride from all the people that went on like the same trail, but you're
exactly.
using the 100 different people for,
Yeah.
you're stitching together
And,
1 minute or 20 seconds for each person to equal the whole ride. So for the viewer, they're seeing one experience, but it's a culmination of the 100 different people that did it.
and to give that to give that nod to that like 100 people that did it, right? You would like then trigger like little, like maybe little tiny like bubbles on the timeline or something, or like, the person's name, like
Yeah.
Jimmy, Mary, whatever, and they would get like ticks, as the video was playing off. You would see where they were in that, so they get like a little shout back to
Yeah, for
to the
sure.
people that contributed to the video. I think that's kind of neat.
And you tag them in it too. I think it's cool. But
Yeah.
I think that's like a different, another way to use the content, because it's great to be able to have multiple purposes. Because I also think that, getting back to your idea of the wall, the way I see the wall is like a big page with a lot of
Yep.
videos. Maybe it's 4 wide and it's just a cascading page, so that if you've got 200 videos, there's 4 wide and there's 200 of them. And if they're unedited and they're raw and there's all of them, you can click on it. You can click through a 1-hour video and only you're going to watch 30 seconds of it, 40 seconds of it, but you're seeing people, unedited, them talking, because they're going to be with friends at the event. There's going to be people they talk to. There's going to be real world dialogue. It's not overly produced. It's not markety stuff. And I think there's a lot of things that'll make people laugh. There's a lot of things that'll make people feel like, a part of the experience, because them and their friends did something similar. There's just something super organic about real people talking, that you don't have to overly produce it all, and you don't have to worry about where you're going to store the billions of gigabytes, because YouTube will do it for you. I think that there's something about that people would respond to, because it's so real. People spend ungodly hours in front of YouTube, going down YouTube rabbit holes, watching these videos that are horribly produced of people that are terrible speakers, because it's real, and they follow that path. That didn't exist 10 years ago. Everything had to be polished and pretty and perfect, and now the more polished it is, unless you're watching a show on Netflix or TV, now if it's polished and it's coming from a brand, it's marketing, get rid of it, flush it. I'm not watching that.
I love this idea. We should just build this.
I know. I think we have to.
We should. No, I'm serious. I know, but I'm serious. I'm totally gonna start one now. Like, what would it look like?
Maybe we
You
can.
know how I am. I gotta be visual about everything.
Maybe we can send some cameras to one of our friendly companies and we can work together to build a demo of what it might look like.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Get them involved in that scenario. Oh, that's definitely something we should try and do.
Yeah.
I think they would be into it, just to see what that would like. A proof of concept, if nothing else, right? And then, no skin off their nose. It's a little time investment in ours, but we might actually produce something pretty cool. So,
Yeah,
it's worth a try.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, it would definitely be fun. What else could we do?
I don't know. What else can you do? Let's try to move away from getting pigeonholed into the video one, because I think there's a lot with it. But unless we're going to talk about something different, what else is there that you could do to make it personal? The texting is really great. A video of you in action is really cool. What else can further the conversation? What else can be human?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I mean, most conversations, right? We're talking one-on-one people. Is there something that they can? I mean, they must have giveaways. What kinds of things do you walk away with? Just physical things that you walk away with when you're there. Did you experience any, people with, I don't know, paper stuff, brochure things, or swag stuff, like
Swag for sure. No brochures or paperwork or really nothing like that. Nothing that was trying to sell anything. But some of them did, but nobody wanted it. It was
right.
It
Nobody
was trash.
picked that stuff up.
What everybody liked and would have, and they don't have it out. you have to kind of ask. It's not like they're not trying to give you anything. I don't mean that in a way that they're holding it back. They're they really refrain from being salesy because these types of industries don't sell by being salesy. They sell by being authentic. But if you ask, they've got t-shirts, hats, koozies, bike tools. They've got stuff of relevance, stuff that you might like. I got some great shirts. I got some good hats. I got some bike tools. I got koozies. I think that sort of stuff people love because you're going to have this great conversation with some dude from Surly Bikes. He gives you a koozie, which is kind of, it's not just a koozie or it's not just a stupid one, but it's kind of funny. Like I got one from them and it says, "Do not arrest this person" on the koozie. That's what it says. So you're walking around with a beer, and then every time you're home and having a beer, you're reminded of that. And I wonder if can you take that one step further? And I don't want to go down like a hashtag road on the koozie. I don't want to go down that road. But how do you?
Well, you know what you could do? What about this? What about, what about like saying, hey, we're running a cool promotion or an insider video or a cool video about how to do something that you can see if you, you know, give us a selfie of you with the thing that you just got. So if it's a koozie, it's a picture of you in the koozie, hashtag, back to the originator. And then, you're entered to, they'll send you like a secret link or you're entered to win like a prize or I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a little too markety, too salesy. I don't know.
Yeah, because I agree on both fronts. I think there's a lot of interesting ways to come up with an exchange through, doing something after the event that you post, like with a hashtag or something that connects you to something the brand has going on. I think that you could do it in a cool way. It does, uh, on the surface, it feels marketing-y or too gimmicky. But I bet with some work, there's something you could do, whether you're making it, an Easter egg hunt or posting yourself. I don't like the example of drinking in public with a "do not arrest this person" because I don't think anyone should encourage, things that could actually get you arrested. But
Right. Of course not.
something along those lines that connects something funny or inherent to the sport, right? Like because beer and mountain biking are really, really closely tied through no reason other than almost everyone that likes riding mountain bikes likes to drink beer. So like so much so that Transition, the dudes over there, they have a brewery that makes them a Transition beer, right? So
Yes, I've seen the picture of their
yeah,
IPA.
it's awesome, and they have a new one, a new batch that comes out every year. Beer and biking is tied very, very closely together. So the giving out a koozie that has something fun like "Do not arrest this person" that just hit me. That's a memorable koozie that I think it does its job. So then, how do you digitize that? How do you take it one step further with connecting? Because that person is going to be drinking beer. Whoever you gave the koozie to, it's almost a guarantee,
Yeah.
right? So then they're going to think back to. I can remember when I pull that koozie out to have a beer at a cookout. I can remember back to the conversation I had with the person. How do you make that conversation continue? Is there a way to take those products or those giveaways and optimize them? God, I hate using that word. And optimize them, to to create some sort of an action that furthers that conversation.
I don't know. That's a tough thing because once they go away with that thing, it's theirs, and they can do whatever they want. They can ignore it. They can build more memories around it that are not your memories. It's interesting. Because the only things I can think of are like cool things that are Easter eggy, as you said, that go around using the physical object in some way to talk back to the person who gave you the object. So, what do you do with your koozie? I mean, ask a question, make them, ask them to do something with the koozie that isn't koozie like. What's the most interesting thing you can think of to do with the koozie? Well, wait a second now.
You know what you could
Perhaps
do?
we shouldn't say that. Don't try this at home, people.
You know what you
Don't
might
send
be
us
able to
any
do?
koozie shots. I don't want to see any naked koozie shots. Okay.
What about if you reversed it and you did sort of like a treasure hunt? So if you had a koozie that you hid a bunch of them all over the event place, and it had
Oh,
directions on it
nice.
to bring it back to your booth, or maybe it had a hashtag on it, and if they checked it, then through social they would get the clue of what it is and bring it back to you, or we'd have to really work that out.
Yeah,
But
we'd have to
they
think
find
about that.
they find the thing, and when they bring it back to your booth, if they're of age, they get a beer, and you just have a few cases of beer, at your tent,
Oh,
and
yeah, something simple.
yeah, something simple, but you're giving them a beer. I think that would be so cool. Now that doesn't necessarily digitize past the event, although it could, because now you've interacted with them via social. But it also creates a human interaction you may not have had because that person might not have come to your booth. Right?
And yeah,
There was a lot of vendors that I never spoke with or demoed their bikes. And if Nemba Fest was a month long, I would have. Right? But it's not. It's 3 days, and there's only so many bikes that you can ride over that time. So that would be a fun way to make sure you get to have more conversations, and giving out a beer. That's fun.
yeah. Actually, I think what you're doing too is touching upon the most important part of this whole conversation is how do you bring it back to a conversation, one-on-one kind of personal interaction, which is the penultimate thing that you want to get out of trying to be their bike, their go-to,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool. So maybe it isn't, it's using digital to sort of create this fun game like thing that they play that then brings you to the conversation that they're about to have.
Yep. And then
Because let's say, because they could be on somebody else's bike. Let's be honest. They could be like riding on somebody else's bike and then get engaged in this game and then come right back to you for that beer. And that is your opportunity to have that kind of conversation and change their mind. I
well, you don't
mean,
even have to
would you
change
have had
minds.
that before?
Yeah, and I don't think that that's the proper moment to sell them or change their mind. I just think
Oh yeah,
even if
I
they
didn't mean
ride
it like that. I'm
even if they
sorry.
ride up on a different bike, who cares? You just have a conversation like, "Hey, congrats, you found it," and you give them a beer, and then you cheers it, and maybe you get a selfie of the rep or whoever the employee is that's at the event with every person that brings it back and gets a beer. So you've either got smiling little video vignettes of each person that finds it, or a selfie, and all of that can get tagged out in social, and you can ask them then, like,
Okay.
hey, we're going to post this out, do you want us to tag you in it? Give me your Twitter handle or whatever it might be.
Oh my God, yes.
That's a fun way to take it the next level, right?
Oh my God, yes. And then you've taken it now. You've brought it back outside to the digital space where you can continue to have conversations.
Exactly.
I love that idea. Oh, that was a good one. That one I didn't see coming.
Me either.
I didn't see that coming at all.
Me either, but I think there's some merit to it. I think that it would work.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's a good one. I kind of love the hide and seek kinds of games. I think those are kind of fun to do. I think everybody likes those. Even as a child, I mean, it brings out the child in every adult
Mm-hmm.
that, do those. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. What else? What else is there? We could probably talk like this for almost another hour.
I know.
Because there might be another 5 or so more ideas we come up with. Definitely. Do you have like another hour? Should we do this in 2 parts?
Yeah,
maybe?
we should probably do a 2-parter, I think, and
maybe,
have another session.
yeah.
Because I don't know if everyone's going to find it as interesting as we do and listen for 2 hours.
Right? Exactly. But this was good. Yeah. I mean, these are great ideas. Definitely we need to come around back and try and execute on some of those. But
yeah, this was fun
too.
I think we came up with some good ideas and
doing a part 2 for this would be a great idea too. I think give us a little time to step back and then instead of thinking off the cuff, maybe we can come up with some other ideas a little more thoughtful.
Yeah, maybe get some feedback from some bike companies too on some of the ideas, or snowboarding companies, or just people we're talking with, and see if the ideas evolve or how it might work. I think it'd be fun just to look deeper.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've been actually talking all about the event specifically because you've been at Nemba Fest, and so we use that as the event example. But you're absolutely right. It doesn't have to. It's not bike centric by any means. It can be, this I think works for all of the cool sports that we like to do.
Definitely,
that we're interested in.
Definitely, it's not only biking. It's just like the impetus for the conversation was Nemba Fest, which is
right
bikes,
on.
but this would work for Well, for any, I mean, then all winter long, there's demos at all the mountain resorts with different snowboarding brands and ski brands and even snowskate brands. Now that's starting to be a thing. And with surfing, I mean, it's just a way to further your connection to your customer. It's not sports specific at all.
I love it. I love it. All right. So part 2, maybe we'll get some feedback from others and we can talk about some other ideas.
For sure. Awesome. Well, this was fun. This was fun. Thanks for
Yeah.
thanks
This
for
was
the
fun. No. Yeah, dude. Thank you.